welcome you to the post-game press conference for Arkansas. At this time, if you could please silence your cell phones, and a reminder that shooting video of the press conferences is prohibited. I'm joined at the podium by Arkansas head coach Mike Neighbors and a couple of student athletes for the Razorbacks in Makayla Daniels and Amber Ramirez. We're going to open with a quick statement from Coach Neighbors. That's going to be followed by questions for our student athletes. When directing a question to a student athlete, please address her by name. After the student athletes are dismissed, we will take questions for Coach. And with that, we can begin, please, Coach Neighbors.
Yeah, so much on day 3 of the tournament for our team is about how we're going to find our spark. And then you have to hope that when you're playing the number 1 seed and the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, that maybe they don't have their best game. It took us a while to find our spark, and they certainly played really well. We didn't get a B effort or an A- effort from them. I thought we got a – Don may disagree, but I thought we got an A effort from them. I was proud of the way our kids fought back there in the third quarter after we regrouped at halftime and made some adjustments, gave ourselves, I think, a lot to work on this next week as we get ready for the NCAA tournament.
Questions now for Amber and Makayla. Please raise your hand. We have assistants with microphones on both sides of the room, and state your name and media affiliation before asking your question. Ben, right here in the front.
Paul Martin, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Question is for Amber. It seemed like your team was able to get into a little bit of a groove in the third quarter, but it didn't matter kind of what style of game you were played. South Carolina was able to answer. How frustrating was that?
I don't think it was frustrating. I think we that spark we had, I mean, like Coach said, they're the number 1 team in the country, and they made shots, they battled on the boards. I think the spark that we had gave them a little bit of a shake, but I think they just made shots, and we just battled as hard as we could.
Tyler, sports and culture. This question is for Makayla. You guys are a very tough-minded team, starting with yourself. How quickly can you get over this loss and get ready for the tournament?
I think once we land back home, we're going to be over, and we're going to be looking forward to the tournament and seeing what we can do to get better until then.
Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Amber, you knew going into this game their size was going to present some problems. How could you counteract that? Was it a matter of just trying to go up tempo, or?
Yeah, they're pretty big, and I think we just had to box out. I think there were some assignments that we missed boxing out, but that was our main focus going into the game, is just putting a body on their bodies.
Tyler for sports and culture. Amber, this is the third game you guys had to claw back, especially coming out of the first. Do you think we're having 3 games in 3 days, a little bit of fatigue kicked in the second half?
No, because we had our spark in the third quarter. I think fatigue wasn't a factor. I mean, obviously we are tired since it is third day, but I think we kept pushing it to the end.
Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Makayla, after last year's run and not quite making the NCAA tournament, looking ahead to that, is this look? I mean, you weren't on last year's team, but just as a series of stepping stones seem to be kind of aligning here going forward.
Mm-hmm. I kind of think we're further than we were last year. I think we've kind of distinguished ourselves to being in the tournament, and last year we were kind of on the bubble, but I think this year we've put ourselves in a position to be in the tournament.
Tyler, sports and culture. Amber, how good did it feel to see your jumper finally fall this game?
It was a good feeling. My teammates had confidence in me to still give me the ball and let me keep shooting the ball. And I knew one game they were going to fall because I'm a shooter, so it felt pretty good.
Do we have any more questions for our student athletes? Ladies, thank you. You're dismissed. Appreciate you. Questions now for Coach Neighbors.
They were tired. They don't want to say it because they're prideful, but on day 3, you're tired. And playing these guys, whether you'd played 2 games before it or not, they make you tired. every pass is contested, every cut's contested, every rebound. They tire you out. And we got tired. I could tell, because here's how you can tell when we get tired: when we are slow in transition offense. Sometimes we don't get back on transition defense when we're perfectly not tired, but we'll still find a way to run on offense. But we were tired running back, and you could tell, from everybody. And you don't ever have to play 3 games in 3 days the rest of the season. So it's really hard to do. I think it's a great challenge for us. It's incredibly hard, and it's why we have the buys. And that's why we've talked about the importance of every game, and we'll have to draw from that this year. We've got a lot of evidence that if we could have found a way to get one more win somewhere along the way, we would have gotten a bye. And then you don't have to talk about this. This is not a question. So that's the importance of us, and that's what's next for us, getting the first and second round bye. She talked about the stepping stones, and I do think this is the next step in that, and having this. Last year we were up here campaigning for us to get in. This year you're going to hear me campaign for our league, because we've got the number 1 overall team in our league. And historically, when that team has been UConn, or when that team has been from another conference, the ACC or the Big 10 or the Big 12, that league has gotten rewarded by the committee for having the number 1 overall seed in their tournament, in their league. We had to play these guys 3 times. I think we've got 8 losses, right? And 3 of them are to those guys. There's a lot of people that are going to lose to those guys 3 times if they play 3 times. There's a lot of other teams in our league that had to play them twice. And so I hope that when the committee gets together after everything shakes out, that, Alabama, they're looking at Alabama to be in a tournament team. And they're looking and making sure Tennessee keeps their streak alive and stays in this thing, because we've had to play the number 1 overall seed in the tournament within our league. Some of us, again, multiple times.
Pete Iacobelli, Associated Press. Mike, given all that you knew there was a potential for them to be tired, when you cut it from 19 to 7, did you think, oh my gosh, we've got it in it, or are we on fumes?
I knew we were on fumes, and it was, do we sub or do you try to ride it out? And just from what I've learned from watching other coaches do it in the past, you ride it out, and you see if you can find a way. And we've done it. Like, we got tired yesterday against A&M. And I was going to take another timeout, and I took blame. I should have called a timeout 1 possession earlier. If you watch if there's some South Carolina people in here, they'll hopefully co-sign this. They finish quarters and halves maybe better than any team I've had to watch. Like they did it the other night against whoever they played in the first round. Who was it?
Georgia.
Yeah, it was tight, and then the next thing you look up and you're down 12 or 15. They just finished quarters, and the crowd was phenomenal. I thought it was good for our teams to play on what is going to go down as a neutral site game that did not feel like a neutral site game, but we know we're going to go on the road for the NCAA tournament, so it was really, really good practice for us this week. And like you said, everything in consideration, it was ride it out, see what happened. We got a really good look at a 3. Amber got a really good look at a 3 on a little kick out, and she was tired.
Paul Martin, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Coach, you knew their size were going to present some problems, and they had a lot of second chance points and offensive boards, but they can shoot it too, and you alluded to this the other day. That just makes everything difficult. You were just kind of hoping they weren't going to make those?
Yeah. And if you're going to let Aaliyah Boston play the 3, just give up. I mean, you're going to move her to the 3 spot, let her start stepping out and shooting 3s. And Victoria Saxton has annihilated us for years. But when they put that big lineup in there, I think we kind of slowed them down with that little matchup. We were running a little junk defense, but yeah, they have no holes. There was no holes. There's nothing you can watch and glean for. You can go to all the coaches' clinics you want to in the history of this world, and you're not going to find a hole in this team. There's not one. Don will try to downplay them so they can stay sharp, but there is complete a team as we've had to face. We've had to face, sorry. I was going to qualify it, but it's probably the hardest team we've ever had to play against in any place I've ever coached. Tyler.
Thank you.
I got you, buddy.
Can you speak on the play of Henderson coming off the bench tonight?
She's killed us too. She was a freshman. She was a kid that, in the matchup, the ball was going to find her eventually. Ty Harris is too good to not find that kid in the right spots at the right time. And it wasn't that we didn't respect her. It wasn't that we said that's the kid we're not going to guard. It's just the kid that the ball kept finding. I think she's played a tremendous role for them all year long, and she's another player that's always played really good against us.
Do we have one final question for Coach Neighbors? This concludes the press conference for Arkansas.
Thank you guys for covering.
Thank you, Coach.
I didn't even bring my phone today.
I know, but you're so good.